All right, hey guys, this is Noah and John. We are here with Card Shop Insider, and we are going to break down the biggest pre-release in the history of Magic the Gathering. Probably the biggest release event that's happened in any card game, to be honest. Magic's the biggest card game, and it's the biggest pre-release they've ever had. But John owns a store. He had a lot of success this weekend with Final Fantasy product, and John's also prepared some extemporaneous, big word,
Yeah, like that, huh?
thoughts for us today. So, John, why don't we jump into it? Tell us about the weekend. So, Final Fantasy is the newest Magic set.
Do his magic set.
I could say it had a little bit of hype. What do you think?
It had a lot of hype. There's some magic purists, player purists that didn't want to get involved in it.
Yeah.
However, I'd say 90% of the, people were jumping for joy when it came out. Uh, you know, and I'm going to give kudos to Wizards. The software did not crash this weekend,
That's good.
which first time in a long time. And I'm sure they had stores all over the world running it. But everything I had, except for a couple booster packs and the commander decks, some of the premier commander decks, the foil ones, didn't sell yet. But I'm sure they're going to sell over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Now, from what I understand from the distributor, they're still waiting for the second wave of product to come in. I talked to two distributors yesterday and today, and it hasn't come in yet. So they have no stock available to send out of anything. The only thing I'm getting from one distributor, along with some other ancillary products that I needed, was 2 sets of regular commander decks. So I'm in good shape. I have like 4 or 5 commander deck sets that I have. And, if they don't sell right away, they'll sell. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
And I do have some pre-release kits left over, which is great because what I'm going to do is strip them open and use them for packs to run my booster draft on Friday night.
Yeah.
And whatever else I have left over, I'm going to break them open for singles because I haven't had a chance to get any singles yet. And the good thing about the kits, the pre-release kits, is you still get that promo card in there.
I was going to ask, do you know or have you looked at all about what the pricing has looked like on any of the promo cards?
Not particularly. The promo cards?
Yeah.
No, not really. I haven't had a chance. I'm just trying to catch up and wrap up from the weekend.
Well, tell me a little bit more about the weekend. I know I got to participate in Friday. I got here a little bit after the retail rush, and then we got to hang out for a while and then do the pre-release tournament. Why don't you tell us how the release or the pre-release sales window went, and then we can talk about the tournaments.
Well, normally I get 21, 20, maybe up to 25 people for a pre-release. This time I got 35 on a Friday night, which is great. I think I had 12 or 14 on Saturday and maybe 15 on Sunday, which is kind of unusual because usually those 2 days are just, 8, 9, maybe 10 people each day at best. But sales of at-home pre-release kits were great. And, it far exceeded, I think, between the at-home events and the in-store events, 150 to 180 people that signed up to do this.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was good. Everything sold. The most predominant seller was the really expensive collector's boosters.
Yeah, the collector's boosters sold really well for this set.
Yeah, they did. And I tell you, I had a 2-price system in place. And a lot of people, not a lot of people, but some people would call and say, how much are they? And if I didn't know them, I would say $700. Well, that's not too bad because online they're selling for $750. But people that came into the store that I knew that had been loyal customers, I sold it to them for $529.
Okay.
Which they were ecstatic about it. I had one customer, and he played Friday night, and he played Saturday. And he's a little bit of a pain in the ass, excuse my French. But he called on Friday afternoon wanting to know the price of a collector's box. And I told him, and he said, "Oh, it, everything's the same every place I call." I said, "How many places you call?" He said, "Oh, at least 6 or 7." And I said, "Well, who did you call?" And he started naming the places that he called and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, the most I've seen it or got a quote on was $800." And he said, "You at 700 is the lowest." And he said, "There's no way you can do better?" I said, "No." Without naming his name, I said, "Nope, I'm sorry. He doesn't come in that often, and he's not a loyal customer. I know he goes from store to store to store."
Yeah.
And when he came, he asked about the pre-release, and I told him how much the pre-release was, which was $35 plus tax. And he said, "Oh, that's great." He said, "Because some stores are charging 55 to 60." I said, "Yeah, I know." He said, "Well, why are you charging so little?" I said, "It's not a question that I'm charging so little." I said, "I'm still making a little bit of money, but I'm doing it for the convenience and the cost effectiveness for my regular customers. And I don't give out a lot of pricing with it. I want to keep the cost down so everybody can have the opportunity to play." Because in some instances, people will come in and they'll pay for their kids or whatever, or their friends. And, to go $50 or more, it's kind of expensive.
Yeah.
Now, I've also had a couple, let me get back to him in a minute, but I've also had people say, well, that's why they're not going to their regular store because their regular store is $50. And there's no reason for them to be $50. I said, look, everybody can charge what they want for their pre-release. It's who knows what kind of expenses they have other than, what my expenses are. And I said, I can't be critical of anybody else. Well, you've earned our business. You've always been good to us, and we're going to start coming here all the time. I gained a couple of people from that.
Mm-hmm.
It shows credibility and it shows integrity of the store. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about: credibility and integrity. All right, now let me get back to this other person.
All right, let's talk about them.
So, this other person came in and did the pre release and said, "Oh, I want a box of collector boosters." And I had them up there. And I said, "Sorry, they're all sold out. They're spoken for." And his jaw just dropped. He said, "Ah, I guess I'm going to have to try to buy it online now." I said, "Yeah, you'd be paying $750 to $800." I said, "But if you had told me when you called originally that you wanted it, I would have put it up aside for you." But of course, I had them. I'll be damned if I was going to sell it to him. I actually sold all the rest of the stuff anyway, so it didn't make any difference.
Yeah, I mean, you were selling them like hotcakes.
Yeah, I mean, he knows that I sell at a reasonable price. And I've had many people telling me, "You sell at a reasonable price. You don't try to fleece us. And that's why we keep coming back. You look out for us." And that goes a long, long way when you're running a store like this. It's a hometown atmosphere. I've had other people come in this weekend and said, "Hey, I play at such and such a place. That's my first time here. I like it here. It's different. It's more homey. You're personable. You care about your customers." So I'm not looking for pats on the back from that. And that's always the way I run my business. And I think uh, that's come across to a lot more people since this pre-release. Now, the second thing I wanted to talk about is Pokemon. Pokemon, when it came out, Divine Rival, or is it Divine? No, Destined Rival.
Destined Rivals.
Destined Rival. I only got 6 booster boxes. And I made that decision at that time. I was not going to sell full booster boxes. And I was just going to break them open and sell individual packs. And I kept to my word on that. And I had probably 50% of my regular customers come in, even though they were only limited to 4 packs, say, "Thank you. I appreciate it." Because other stores aren't doing this. They're selling out their stock as soon as they get it. All they care about is money. And we realize, yeah, you got to make a profit, but you don't care if you sell it out and don't have something for all of us to play. And maybe 8 or 9 people told me that this weekend or since the set came out. And again, that makes me feel better. Makes me happy that they know I watch out for them, and I still got some packs up on the shelf. Not a lot,
Yeah.
but there's enough. So again, establish your credibility and establish reliability and your integrity. That's important when you're running the store, because if people question that, they're not going to tell just one or two people. They're going to tell everybody.
Yeah.
And once you get that started about, hey, this store does this, or this store's a crook, or he overcharges and I'll never buy from him again, it spreads like wildfire and everybody knows it. And so far, knock on wood, that's not going to happen, or at least it's not happening yet. So that was my contribution for this week.
There you
Now,
go.
do you have any questions you want to ask me?
I know. I mean, I think we started talking a little bit about the pre-release weekend. All the metrics say that it's been the biggest release in the history of Magic. You said you've had biggest numbers that you've had
Yeah.
attended pre-release ever. In addition to that, you're pretty much sold out of what you got in the store. The distribution says they're not going to be able to re-up until they get their stuff again.
Well, from what my most knowledgeable distributor told me, possibly at the end of June, but he said more likely sometime in July or August, because this set's going to be around for a while. However, there's going to be no more collector boosters, and there's going to be no more bundles other than uh, the gift bundles that are coming out on June 27th.
Yeah.
Now, what he told me was, yeah, you'll get play boosters and you'll have enough to run booster drafts, and there'll be enough stock available through Wizards. He said, but forget those two items. But he did say this week they're shipping non WPN stores or Wizards Play Network stores. Last week they wanted to get all the product out for the WPN stores that were running pre-releases. This week, all the product that they had left over was destined for the other stores. So they're sending that out and fulfilling that commitment. Now, from what Southern Hobby told me, there's a good possibility that some of their reserve stock, because they always keep a little bit of reserve stock, and the manager, I guess the national sales manager, controls that. And what he'll do is he'll dedicate some of the stock to a specific distribution center, and the manager from that distribution center will allocate it to each sales rep. Now, my sales rep probably gets a big allocation because he's done exceptionally well. He was the highest grossing salesperson last month,
Nice.
exceeding his previous by over $1 million. I know exactly what he did, but I'm not going to divulge
That's
that.
our private business.
I'm not going to divulge that.
That's
But
fantastic.
he said, of course, he only gets a percentage of it, a small percentage of it, but he's got to wait a month for it.
Sign me up for a percentage
Yeah.
of that.
But he's
I mean,
happy. He's happy.
Yeah, that's great.
And he, you know, being a customer that he can rely on, that, we talk just like you and I talk. We BS about all kinds of stuff, about family and all this. And he said, look, when it comes out, when it's allocated, he said, you're not going to get massive quantities, but you'll be first on the list to get at least a few, maybe bundles, possibly collector packs. He said, I'm not sure. He said, I'm not sure what's going to be released yet. He said, probably next week you'll see. So that's what I'm hoping out, for.
So you, one question I thought we could ask about, and if you don't want to answer it, that's fine. But you had Japanese language collectors boosters over the weekend,
Uh-huh.
and I know when we were in on Friday, you hadn't decided yet how you were going to deal with those. Did they spike anybody's interest? Have you decided what you're doing with those?
Yeah, actually, I had 2 boxes, and somebody spotted them off to the side. He said, "What are those?" I said, "Japanese." He said, "Oh, I want a box." I said, "You want a box of Japanese?" Right? He could just about speak English, but I don't know what the hell he wants with the Japanese. Different art on it, I guess. And he said, "Well, I can't pick them up today." He said, "Probably next week. I get paid the following week. Would you hold it for me?" I said, "Sure." I mean, I could sell it right now if I wanted to, but I'm going to hold it for him.
So you've got those technically sold.
one box.
One box.
The other box is gone because somebody spotted the other box and said, "Are you going to sell packs out of it?" I said, "If you want me to, how much are they?" And I told them how much it was. Same price as the collectors for regular customers. And they sold out, I don't know, Saturday and Sunday. They were all gone. So
Super.
I have one box left over.
Well, there is an art variant that is only available in the Japanese packs.
Yeah.
So people were excited to try to get that.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. What do you think in terms of like future sets of Magic? Does this affect your impression of the game or of the running a small card shop?
As far as impression of it, I think with Wizards, the future is looking bright. I mean, they've got some good creative people there now. I know they cleaned house a while ago, but I think they brought in some knowledgeable people, and I think they're doing things the way it's supposed to be done. And they're always looking for opportunities for other IPs. Again, some people are not going to like it because somebody said, "Well, when Spider-Man comes out, I'm not really into Spider-Man."
Oh man, the Spider-Man's going to be the best pre-release ever.
Maybe, because I've had a couple other people say Spider-Man doesn't excite me.
It's going to be the most fun, I swear. Like I wasn't into Final Fantasy. I've never even played one of their video games. But I had some friends that came and played that are really into Final Fantasy. They wanted to play. They play Magic. So they came and they had a good time. I'm the only one of us that beat anybody in the tournament. They two of them got buys, but I had to. It was friendly fire. I had to beat one of the kids that came.
Yeah,
with us.
they were nice people. I mean, I'm glad you brought them.
But
They had a good
they
time.
were so into the Final Fantasy IP, and I'm like, man, that Spider-Man stuff, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I think it is too. I mean, I really think it's going to be as good as at Final Fantasy or close to it. It
Yeah.
may exceed it. I don't know. But, I listen to my customers, and the one customer that I was referring to, probably one of my biggest purchasing customer, he's not into Spider-Man. I said, "Oh, God, here, he's not going to spend $4,000 on it. He might spend $400 on it, but
We'll see what they print.
Who knows? We'll see."
I'll have a chat with him.
Yeah, I'm excited for Wizards' future. I really am.
Yeah.
Providing they don't go too high with their pricing, and if the tariffs don't affect them too much, or maybe it's going to be 2 packs per person for Christmas. Who the hell knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Like the $2. Hasbro's in trouble though. Hasbro is going to be in trouble because they're not getting their toy shipments for Christmas with the tariffs. And Wizards is going to have to bear the brunt.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to bring up and talk about with the pre-release? Were there any logistical issues with having that many people show up for a pre-release?
No.
Everything ran pretty smooth.
Thank God that you helped. Glenn helped. Other people helped bring tables in, pick up trash. So I didn't have to roll around on the rollator and trip over people. But yeah, everybody contributed. Everybody was very accommodating. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And there was no arguments, no disagreements of any sort. Just again, I mentioned the software didn't crash, which is thank God for that. Everybody appeared like they liked the way the tournament was run. They were happy. It was the way I run it is you get 50 minutes to an hour to build your deck, and then it's 50-minute rounds. And we did 3 rounds. And I was out of here about 11:45 or something that night, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the same thing the next day, everything ran smoothly. And Sunday, same, ran smoothly.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else for the podcast that you want to talk about today?
Unless you got any profound things you want to talk about.
Nothing profound. All right, folks. Well, that's what we got for today's podcast. In terms of recapping the biggest event that Magic has had, it was a big deal. It was a great event, awesome release. Really excited to see more coming out in the future. If you guys like the podcast, like and subscribe on the YouTubes or the Spotifys or anywhere else that we can get it posted. And if you are interested in supporting us more and getting the before and after cuts of our episodes, where John and I talk off the official recording about other things related to the card store, You can join up with us on Patreon at patreon.com/cardshopinsiders. So, we should thank our patrons. We have patrons. Hey, patrons, thanks, guys. We've got Nathan, Brian, Jake, Drayden, Logan, Brandon, Grant, and Ben. Super party
That's
time.
still 8. That's good.
All right, guys. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for your support, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good day.